Hey guys, I'm Scott Carson, one of the founding members of the ACBA, the Aesthetic Cosmetic Business Association. I'm here at the invitation of Kris Groop, the Aesthetic Advisor TV, to be interviewed about some of the changes that affect our industry, some of the tactics that really damage the enterprise value of our practices and our businesses. As a distributor and reseller myself, these same things affect me, and this is the reason why myself and other board members came together to make these changes.
I'm Kris Groop with Aesthetic Advisor TV, and I'm here with Scott Carson of the Aesthetics and Cosmetic Business Association to begin our series, Zapped, Tactics that Laser Manufacturers Use Against You and What You Can Do to Protect Yourself. Scott, tell me about variable pricing and how it affects those who have purchased or are thinking about purchasing cosmetic lasers.
Kris, love to. One of the things that I was just thinking as we took a quick break is I'm a proponent, I'm a fan of this industry, as so many of us are. As all of us get older and the sun and the air and the environment takes its toll on, being kind, takes its toll on us. These are treatments that have, although I haven't used a lot of them, have benefited myself, benefited family members and other close friends.
I've built my whole practice on them.
Exactly. So I'm a big believer in what these manufacturers have done, the R&D, the technology advances, pulling technologies from other industries and bringing them into to this world. I'm a big fan, and I want to see this industry grow and explode and continue to make big changes. And but with that said, I think there's some things that that all clinicians have thought about, have considered, don't understand, and would like a voice, a collective voice, where they can voice their issues and have a group, a body made up of board members and hired staff that will go out and advocate on their behalf. And one of those, as you mentioned, is variable pricing. Unlike the automotive industry or electronics, or so many other industries that we work with or that we interact with on a daily basis in our lives. The aesthetic industry has no consistency. There's no body that of knowledge where you can see pricing. So that information is hard to find. And what that does is it gives the advantage to the manufacturer. So if you consider a car pricing, you can go to TrueCar now, or you can look on eBay, or you can compare between two different dealers that sell the same manufacturer's model. You can look at historical pricing data. That doesn't exist with laser manufacturers. They have all the advantage. So they have a very high MSRP, manufacturer's suggested retail price, 150, 200,000. It's a gigantic number and always is. And then they have what's called ASP, actual sales price. So if you look at some of the commission plans that manufacturers have that they provide their sales staff, it actually has MSRP and ASP. And commissions are affected on both of those numbers. Interestingly, as a sales rep is able to get more money or closer to MSRP, they're rewarded for getting that higher number. And if they get a lower number, such as an ASP or something below ASP, then they get de-incentivized. They get harmed in their commission and their dollars. So they actually are incentivized to get more money from you. And what this does is you don't have that collective body of information or pricing or knowledge or access to a database. You're completely unarmed. And you're at the mercy of whatever the sales rep wants to tell you. Remember, he's incentivized or she's incentivized to get the number one, the biggest dollar that they can get out of you. And with no place to check, with no group of people to talk to, you're really at risk. One of the other things that we see is what's called demo pricing. Now, a lot of industries, such as automobiles that I mentioned, have demo pricing. And that's a very common thing because a manager of a car dealership, for example, takes a car off the lot. He drives it for 5,000 miles. They put it back on the lot. They provide a discount to their client or their customer because it's a used car, but it's only been used in a light manner. Manufacturers of aesthetic devices have really taken that to a whole new level. they now manufacture demos. And what that means is they'll say to a client, hey, I've got a demo. And
I've heard that.
they may or not have a demo. Okay. So what they do is they just ship a new one. It's very common knowledge in this industry that they manufacture demos. And when we think of one, we're thinking we're getting a deal because it's a demo. It was used at a trade show. It was, used as a rep, a loaner, or whatever it might be. And when in fact, it just came from the manufacturer. And since in many cases, there's no shot counter on it, or if there is a shot counter, it's got 0 shots, you're not really bothered by the fact that it's got no shots on it because you're thinking, hey, I just got a new device when I bought a used one or a demo one. The point is it's not right, it's not fair. And again, this goes to what the ACBA is all about, is creating a marketplace where you now are armed with information. What are the prices, historical prices that these units sell for, high and a low? What's the average price that we're seeing in the marketplace? What are the warranties being offered? Are installations being provided at no charge? Are they being charged? What kind of training is done? So we want to collect this data from all the different clinicians and then put this in a database so clinicians can use to begin to get more standardized pricing. Because how this affects clinicians like yourself and other people is if they don't have this information and they pay $50,000 too much or $75,000 too much than somebody else in the marketplace, when they go to sell that device and there's other devices, exactly the same units that were sold for $50,000 or $75,000 less, they are immediately taking that hit.
Yeah, they're upside down.
They're upside down.
One of the things I've also heard about is the floor price. So can you explain a little bit about what is a floor price?
That's a great question. So as I mentioned, you have MSRP pricing, which is manufactured suggested retail price, which is the highest price. And in that case, it could be $150,000, $200,000, big number. And then there's ASP, which is actual sales price, which is kind of the target price that manufacturers want to see their products sold at. And then there's floor pricing, which is typically the lowest price that a sales rep can sell on their own without a manager's or manufacturer leadership approval. And what that does is it gives a sales rep a very large range for them to work, from floor pricing to MSRP. And in some cases, that can be $50,000, $75,000. It's a big number. They're incentivized significantly to get that MSRP. And they're de-incentivized, disproportionately, in most cases, to get a lower number if they get a lower number. So they're constantly using sales tactics. Remember, you don't have any information. You're typically blind. You may call a doctor or a colleague or a friend, or you may get a reference to somebody that has bought one in the past, and often they won't tell you the exact price they paid. They'll just tell you it's a good device. But you don't have that collective body of information, so you're unarmed. And they're hitting you with this large number that they're trying to get you to pay. And if you push back and it's the end of the quarter, they're not selling a lot of product or whatever the case may be, they will hit that floor price.
That's really interesting, Scott. We spent time discussing one tactic that laser manufacturers use against you and what you can do to help protect yourself. I'd like to thank Scott Carson of the ACBA for his dedication to helping us change this industry and also for spending some time with us. If you would like more information on the ACBA, check out www.acba.expert. Thanks for watching.